Hello. For this project, I analyzed how the frequency and severity of alcoholic hepatitis has changed from before the COVID-19 pandemic to now. In order to measure this, in order to measure the severity of alcoholic hepatitis, I calculated a sample size of patients for their model of end score, model of end stage liver disease score, also known as the MELD score. And basically, the MELD score is a number from 0 to 40, and the greater the number, the more likely the patient will be recommended for a liver transplant. And in order to determine the overall frequency of patients who have alcoholic hepatitis, I compared the total number of patients diagnosed with alcoholic hepatitis from the University of Kansas hospitals database, and I picked two different time frames. I picked 2018 and 2019 for patients diagnosed with alcoholic hepatitis before the pandemic, and then 2020 and 2021 for patients diagnosed during the pandemic. And basically, I compared those numbers to see how many new cases emerged during those two time periods. And while studying the change in frequency and severity, I narrowed down on four kind of groups that you would use to analyze the patients. I went off of gender, race, age, and body mass index. And I thought I looked at these because I thought they might have a bit of impact and a bit of a correlation on kind of trends in the data. And the results of the study basically showed me that the number of cases of alcoholic hepatitis, so the frequency did increase from before the pandemic to now, but there was no statistically significant change in the MELD score of the patients from before the pandemic to now. But one thing I did see was that the most prevalent cases of alcohol, in the most prevalent cases of alcoholic hepatitis, the patients were usually white, and they were of either in their kind of 50s or 60s, so mostly older people. And kind of one theory I have of this is because alcoholic hepatitis it comes from a long history of heavy drinking, so that's why it's affecting most people who are older. But there was some outliers in the data, like there was a big change in the number of patients who are younger, maybe in their 20s and 30s, from that. There are more occurrences of those cases during the pandemic than compared to before. And one theory I had of this was that maybe since during the pandemic, a lot of people were sad and kind of depressed, that would lead them to drink more, and that people that maybe were young and didn't drink maybe a lot before the pandemic, some sad events such as the passing of a loved one, losing a job, maybe cause them to increase the rate that they would drink at during the pandemic, which would lead them to be diagnosed with alcoholic hepatitis. To further my research, something I would do is analyze some more groups. I would look at kind of any patient history of other diagnoses, see if there's any correlation between that. And also go on location to see if there's any like specific counties in the kind of Kansas City, Kansas, Missouri area that were more affected than others. And also like to see the patient's employee status to see that if there was maybe at the time that they were diagnosed, maybe before that they had lost a job, and that could maybe lead them to drink more because they were kind of depressed from that, and that would lead them to be diagnosed with alcoholic hepatitis. So yeah, this was my project, and this was my oral defense.